Matt, we've heard both terms before. They sound similar, but I don't quite understand the difference. There is attack surface management and there's blast radius, or essentially minimizing blast radius. What is the difference between the two?
Start, you got to take a look at what do you mean by attack surface? And I think of that as the things which could be attacked. These are your employees, your user base,
your data.
These are all the things that could be attacked. Reducing that, going through and, getting rid of stale users or, offboarding people in a better way. That's all attack surface reduction. And we hear people talk about that all the time. But what we don't hear enough about is the other side of the coin, which is blast radius reduction. What happens if any of one of those things get compromised? And what steps can we take to, operate under this mentality of assume breach? Let's limit the blast radius or the potential that any one user, device, or thing has to cause damage in my environment.
The most common that I knew early on was microsegmentation. How active is that? And then give me some other ideas.
Microsegmentation is a good one. I think of configuration management. We've all talked about, a STIG, which would be like a DoD term for hardening guidelines. You go and you make this system harder to penetrate, or you turn off unused services. That just makes it that much harder to get into and that much more mobile if an attacker gets a hold of it. And that same concept applies to data.
If you're trying to prevent a lot of things from getting further, yet people are trying to get through to do their job legitimately, where do you find that balance, or how do you do that? Or is that just really an ongoing management exercise?
I think it's a little bit of both an ongoing management exercise, but balancing security and productivity is not impossible. If we scope this conversation just to data, it already sounds a little bit easier. And when we look at data, there is, data types that are more valuable to an organization than another. We can probably all agree with what should and shouldn't happen to that data before we start to go out and expand into individual business units and try to apply protection to, individual kind of group specific type of information. Let's just start with all the PII. Let's start with all of the employee information. Let's start with all the company's financials. These are things that people can generally get behind, that if you're able to implement strategies successfully to limit that blast radius, you'll get more buy-in to go further, go deeper, go wider. And you've already proven that you're doing it without interrupting people's ability to work.
Awesome. Well, to learn more about this, how to control your blast radius, and to get a little help on doing just that, you need to contact the people over at Varonis. And you can do that by going to varonis.com.